So on a global level, we're seeing things we have never seen before. I feel like that in the US with certain things, we're seeing things we've never seen before. And we have to kind of go, when people are like, I can't believe with the election what happened. I both want to say you haven't seen anything yet, but also like, where have you been?
Yeah.
Like, let's be
Yeah.
honest.
Yes.
Let's be really honest. 8 energy says, why are you pretending to be blind?
Mm.
Saturn says, this lesson is not going away.
Welcome to the Spiritual Quest podcast, a transformative journey where we step into a world of wonder and exploration, seeking answers to profound questions. Why am I here? What is my mission in life? And how can I make a positive impact in this world? Join me and my inspiring guests on a spiritual quest to fully embrace your uniqueness and speak your truth with grace and gratitude. I am your host, Vibeke Garnos, always guided by spirit. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Spiritual Quest podcast. Today, we'll be looking into the hidden messages of 2025 through the power of numerology. And I'm thrilled to have Novalee Wilder back on the show with us. She's a visionary professional numerologist renowned for her transformative guidance in both personal and business realms. And as the author of A Little Bit of Numerology and A Little Bit of Angel Numbers, Novalee channels her profound understanding of numbers into empowering insights. She's also the founder of the Numerology School and the voice behind the Numerology podcast, bringing clarity and purpose to how numbers will shape our future. So please join us. Novalee unveils what 2025 holds and discover how you can harness the power of numerology to navigate the upcoming year with confidence and insight. It's my pleasure to welcome Novalee Wilder to the Spiritual Quest podcast. Hello
Thank you
there.
so much. Thank you, Vibeke. It's such a pleasure to be here. Always such a pleasure.
Oh, I'm so excited for this upcoming session because we're diving into the forecast for 2025. And you were the one who kind of made me fall in love with numerology. So, why don't we start there? For those who might not know who you are, a little bit about short intro of you and numerology. I know it's a huge thing, but let's
Yeah,
keep it slow and then we'll move into 2025.
sure. So, a little bit about me. So, originally, I'm from Denmark. I grew up in Denmark. And in 2014, I moved to New York to study acting. And as I was in this acting school where, like, I didn't know anyone, the language was new, I was living in a new place, the stuff in the supermarket was new, like, everything was new. I was really faced or confronted with my old patterns. I was like, wow, I'm in a totally new place with people who don't know me. I can be anyone that I want to be, like, which I really recommend. If you ever have to start over, take that as an opportunity to figure out who do you want to be now. You don't have to repeat patterns. But I was repeating patterns, and I was introduced to numerology and the idea that our names impact our life, not just like names that people call us, where we're like, oh, I am this person, I am this sound, I am this name, and everything that comes with it. But also, there is an energetic pattern to a name. There's an energetic imprint or like a filter. We know this in the age of Instagram that like things can be filtered, and that filter can actually truly change how we view ourselves or view others. So I went to this numerologist who could look at names, and they told me, this is a very challenging name you have. And they told me everything about it. And I was like, that's really horrible because everything you say is true. Like, it's really,
Yeah, like
I wish I could disprove it
confronting.
by saying everything you're saying is not true. And they were like, well, if you're interested, you would probably have to change your entire name to like change things. And I was like, you know what? F it. Like, let's just do it. So I legally changed my entire name in 2015. And I can't understate or overstate. I don't even know what word to use. Like the impact was so profound.
Mhm.
And I think there's two things to this. Something I'm writing a new book on numerology right now. This is going to be a long answer. Is like I'm really thinking about the impact of the identity we choose to have. And not just, again, like there's energetic implications of changing your name that are really powerful and they're hard to convey. But what's easy to convey is that like shift in identity, like choosing to be someone else and not make it like, oh, I should be acting in a certain way, but being like, I am the kind of person who shows up for myself, or who eats healthy, or who faces her romantic patterns head on, or whatever it is. So, like, everything changed with that numerology aspect. And suddenly I had a passion that was not just acting and creativity, but like it opened up this whole spiritual thing for me. I got introduced to so many, like I started channeling in things that I didn't even realize I was able to channel around. And so I had to study it, like I found a numerology school, I found my first teacher, I became accredited or whatever you want to call it. Like I took courses, I found some old witches because I find often on a spiritual path, sometimes we find the pretty website first, and then later we find that person in the forest, who doesn't even have like a like a web presence. So I've also gone down that path with numerology. And so the kind of numerology that I use is called Chaldean numerology, and it's mostly used in Denmark and Norway and like Scandinavia. It's definitely more known there. When I moved to the US, I realized that the kind of numerology that people are mostly used to over here is Pythagorean numerology. And while the two systems have a lot in common, they also differ in pretty significant ways. So in Chaldean numerology, we look at people's birthdays and we look at their names and we look at the cycles they are born into, and we kind of go, okay, what does this soul, that is of course bigger than just the birthday and bigger than the name, what are they here to do? We were talking before we went live about patterns, and like, it's a new level sometimes, but it's the same devil. So like, what are the patterns and challenges, a gift that this soul has decided to deal with in this life? And then with the name, what are the kind of filters they have around, like what are the idea and the identity they have around what those patterns look like? So yeah, numerology is like a sacred spiritual science about the like energy and vibrations behind numbers and names. And they could be any name. They could also be the name of an entity or a book or a pet or a house. Anything that's named gains power from being named. And looking at those names, like we can see some of the patterns and we can replace those patterns, just as like people can change names, they can change patterns in that way. They can't change the pattern they decided to deal with in this lifetime. So like we can't change birthdays, but we can change names.
There's a lot we can change, definitely, with the name
Yeah.
change, I guess. But
Yes.
I just reflected when you were sharing that, because um, it I kind of saw when you talked about shifting your name, when you decided to do that, that you shift the timeline. And so
Mm.
the energetic decision that you made was allowing a new timeline to step forward and for you to embody that. You have a choice, but that energetic choice was so profound based on shifting such a powerful thing as your name. So
Mm-hmm.
you actually took the jump, quantum
Yeah.
leaped into that new timeline, and here you are sharing this with the whole world. I think that's a perfect example of how we can shift timelines just by doing
Yeah.
some really deep kind of work like you are sharing with numerology. So now you've shown us a little bit about what your kind of numerology, what you how you use it. So let's wrap up 2024 before we go in and look at 2025, because you said to me prior to going live that this was the year 8. And I go, no kidding, because that's my number. I was like,
Yeah,
I've been
you would have felt
struggling. I've
it.
been
You
on
would
the
have felt it.
highest high, Like
Mm.
now, I'm like at the end of this year, I'm like on the highest high. My soul gift is it's really powerful, but I've had to go all the way down, and I mean all the way down. Like I couldn't move. I was actually stuck because of a neck prolapse
Yeah.
earlier this year, till being so well and so powerful and feeling so good. So let's dive into this year 2024. What has this taught us?
Yeah.
Let's wrap up
I
the
feel like
teachings.
yeah, you could almost do this forecast or like this insight, because as an eight, you would feel this year more. And when I say eight, in Chaldean numerology, we look at the birth date. So like we're not going to look at the month or the year. We're just going to look at the day. So like I was born on the 28th. 2 plus 8 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. So in Chaldean numerology, I'm a 1, a base number 1, or just a 1. And you were born on the
26th of October,
yes, so
1974. Yeah.
26, 2, yeah,
Mm.
2 plus 6 is 8. So you're an
Mm.
8 in
Mm.
Chaldean numerology, just so people are like, wait, what? What do I add?
Yeah.
Um, 8 energy is connected to Saturn, and Saturn is the ruler of time and lessons, and he is the teacher. And you just can't outrun your curriculum. Like you cannot outrun,
Nope.
he will throw a book after you, and
I
he
was
will
like,
make you come back to the classroom when he's like, you need to learn this. So eight energy is I love me some eights, but it's a very wide energy. It's a very deep energy. You guys are not here like 8 people in 8 years asks us to go deeper. It is not necessarily like broad strokes, and like even though lots of eights have like impacts on lots of people, it's usually like the kind of like deeper connection you guys are interested in. Like we're not scratching surface shit. So
it's true.
2024 is also not like scratch the surface year. um some of the themes for the eights is like balance. Like 8 years are good at extremes, and I could say that like on a global level. I'm in the US, like there's been some extremes this year. There's been some extreme lies, some extreme highs, a lot of
Yeah.
hope, a lot of despair. Like we're recording this, right after the election. um I was not surprised by the outcome, but that didn't mean that I hadn't hoped for something else.
Mm.
um so eight energy really makes us go deeper, and it questions like, where is there an imbalance in your life? And we can, if you look at eight energy, you look at these two circles that are connected, which is what they're supposed to be. But if we cut them in half, we just make these two circles. One is like your physical life, which might also have come up for people, like your physical body, your livelihood, the home you live in, like your connection to earth. And also like not thinking beyond that, being like, there is nothing else, there's just what I can see and touch and feel and taste. Like it's a very basic part of the eight that they can never leave behind, because if we leave it behind and we go to the second circle of the eight, that's everything you can't see
Mm.
and touch, everything that is beyond, like your spiritual self, you're connecting to God, your higher self, beyond this planet, beyond this star system. But you can't live only, both if you're an eight, but also that's the lesson of 2024, you can't live just in one of those circles. They're supposed to connect, and
Mm.
they're supposed to be balance. We are not just our physical body, but we're definitely not just our spiritual body either. And if you kind of only if you only support one of them, the other circle is going to make a lot of noise. So if we are imbalanced, 2024 would have made noise, would have made a
Mm.
lot of noise.
It did.
Um,
I had to find a new balance because it's all
yeah.
always an expansion, the new energies and how you're growing, you're expanding as you're doing this kind of work. I've been doing this now for 16 years and channeling for 12 of those 16 years. And it's been a roller coaster this last year just because of the physical aspect of, like you said, finding the structure, looking at the livelihood, looking at different parts of the physical reality, and acknowledging that I'm not happy and having to
Mm.
see, go deep to figure out what patterns that I have that do not serve, which is stuck in the 3D matrix, in order to shift that and transform that to create a new, more sustainable and more powerful structure for a higher matrix. So it's been looking at all patterns, belief system, and starting new or allowing. I would more say that this year has been allowing myself, giving myself some grace. And I hope a lot of
Mm.
people have been doing that because it's been a turbulent year, like you said. So allowing ourselves some grace and feeling now that we have moved beyond the chaos. Now we can start building a new structure and then looking at ourselves in the balance of the eight and saying, okay, now in this balance, I feel more powerful. I can stand solidly within who I am. I feel I have the clarity of where I'm going. And now I'm ready to take it to the next level. At least that's how I feel it. So let's move into the forecast of 2025. What can we
Yeah.
expect?
So, first of all, there is this like overlap of the years. It's not like they shift immediately on New Year's Eve at midnight. They
No.
do stretch into, like the astrologically, like the New Year's is around when we go into Aries. So that would be April, end of March, April. So there's like an overlap of the energies, and that can sometimes feel, depending on what base number we have when we were born, like kind of intense. When an 8 year meets a 9 year, and 2024 is an 8 year because 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 4 is 8, and 2025 is a 9 year plus because 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5, right? Yes,
Yes?
is 9. Oh, I'm getting lost on the math
Yeah.
here too. So when these 2 years meet, they create um 17-8. When 9 energy meets anything, it amplifies it and recreate it. If you add 9 to any number, you will recreate that number. So we're getting an extra dose of this 7 or the 17-8 energy right now, like November, December, I would say all the way into April. And 17-8 is kind of like a spotlight energy, one that says, like, on a global level, it says you need to pay attention because what's happening right now is like once in a generation or once in a lifetime energy. So on a global level, we're seeing things we have never seen before. I feel like that in the US with certain
Mm.
things. We're seeing things we've never seen before. And we have to kind of go, I can't, when people are like, I can't believe with the election what happened. I both want to say you haven't seen anything yet, but also like, where have you been?
Yeah.
Like, let's be
Yeah.
honest.
Yes.
Let's be really honest. 8 energy says, why are you pretending to be blind?
Mm.
Saturn says, this lesson is not going away.
Mm.
Like, why would it be going away? Like, this is the next page in your book. And you can't get to the next chapter unless you like read this or fulfill this or like show up for this. So for 8 specifically, I would think there'd be some intensity around the end of the year and the beginning of the next year, because 8 and 9 energies, they kind of like each other. 9 is ruled by Mars, so we got anger, aggression, boundaries, leadership in all its forms. And if you need to translate it to something more feminine, because sometimes when people hear leadership, they immediately see something very masculine or
Yeah.
very single-minded, or they see like a one-person ruler, which is not how leadership really is. We're all leaders. We all show up for ourselves and other people. And there are people looking at you right now, both you, me, and everyone listening. And they look to you for like, how do you show up? Like, there's some personal leadership energy. 9 is all about leadership, but it's very like rooted in ethics, integrity, and the bigger vision. So a question I would ask people is like, who are you giving your power away to?
Good question.
Yeah, like what are you saying, like, and it could be both. You give the power away to, this would be a 9 year question. It could be people, but it could also be like future you. Like I will do the thing when I'm skinnier, or I'll do the thing when I have a better wardrobe, or I'll do it in the summer where I have a little bit of a tan, or I'll do it when I'm saying all of these like physical things, but that's just because I really see people get hung up in the physical of like when I feel like I look better in whatever way, shape, or form, or like I have an accent. Sometimes when I talk to Americans, I can hear my own accent and I go, oh, I'll get a little bit bigger. I get a little more impact when I work on my accent.
Mm.
Or I'll get my teeth fixed, or like there's just a lot of like we get hung up in these like surface level things and we say I'll do the big thing once I fix this physical thing about myself.
Mm.
And it's just bullshit. You can
You
be
called it.
impactful now. Yeah, you can be a leader now. I follow this wonderful money mindset mentor, Denise Duffel Thomas, who gives people the job to look in a mirror or take a picture of themselves and say, this is what a wealthy woman looks like.
Mm. True.
And whether you are a woman or a man or however you identify, that thing of like, I am the person I need to be for the job I have right now.
Mm.
Like I am the leader, and I'm not waiting for someone else to save me, or I'm not waiting for my physical reality to be better. I am taking care of the shit now.
Mm. Love
And I'm
it.
also taking care of myself. Like nine energy is a very, very physical energy. So, a very practical thing I would really recommend everyone now before your inbox gets filled with like get skinny in January or sign up for the gym in January or lose, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I would say like invest in your physical reality right now. Like if it is because you need a coach because you want to lose weight, or if you are getting older and you really should be strength training
Mm.
to like retain muscle mass
Mm.
and feel powerful in your wisdom years, like now is the time to do it.
Mm.
Like it's November 7th. Like just sign up for the thing
Mm.
now. Like invest in your physical reality right now.
Mm.
Because to create that thing, like to create that identity, you need to take action.
Mm.
So
I love what you're
2024 is also
saying.
it's also the
I've,
year of action.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
we
just
have
want
like
to mention
yes.
something because it's so fascinating. Because, like I said, I do channeling, so I allow the guidance of spirit. You see this from Spirit Quest, always guided by spirit. I have my team, Zarius in the Order of Seven. And this, it's not been that long. I think it was in the beginning of October they said, or in one of my channelings with them, they said that I needed to open up for mentorship. Never done that, to guide
Mm.
people one on one through mentorship, 3 spots. And okay, I'll do it because I know this is I have to lead now. I know it's the time. Reading energy and working with high frequency energies, you can see what the shift. I see vibrations. So when I'm in the trance, I can see how the energy is moving, how the grids and how the matrix and how it all plays in together. So it's a visual expression that is unfolding within me. And so I could see the necessity of what they were saying, but I had to go through what I went through to be able to come to that place and that realization where I was able to let go of the 3D matrix that was still left, that kept me in that old belief system, keeping me small in certain aspects of the work I was doing. Also the fear of being rejected, because I've been rejected by family and friends prior, for coming out and being a channeler and going all in, because I quit my job and I started it. I just
Yeah.
listened to the guidance of spirit. And I don't recommend people do that, but because that had to be my job. Like I said, I'm an
Well,
8.
it's a very
It's,
eight
yeah,
energy. Like
it is.
once you
So
just
don't,
jump into any of the circles, you're like, there is, for at least for a while, there is
yeah,
only this circle. And then at some point you go, you know what? What's in my fridge? Like how am I in the physical world? Like am
yeah.
I supported? Yeah.
And I can see that people who's been on this path for a while is already catching up on this energy. So just what you said now, that, invest in yourself. As soon as I sent out one email, and it was just one little line at the end of the email to my email list,
Yeah.
and somebody jumped on. And the next email went out, somebody jumped on. And it's just the way the energy is working now. I think we're all feeling it, feeling our souls calling on us, because the order says that the veil is so much thinner going into this energy. And the nine
Yeah.
energies, so it kind of feels like I would just want to pull this in, like it's all the same thing, but you're using the numbers, and I'm just sensing and getting the information of how to navigate the energies. Well, you can actually say, okay, this is the energies that are playing out. Now, how do we navigate it? So let's see now. Let's look at the professional life. We did a little bit. You said the
Mhm.
leadership part. So say
Yeah.
that somebody now is in the energy work, a light worker, a visionary, whatever, you want to be here and create something more powerful, a new earth through that
Yeah.
vibration of consciousness. So how do we navigate?
So, I mean, nine energy is like looking at things from on high. So we're zooming out. Like nine energy often zooms out and is like, I use this image, and I think some people get confronted by it, especially in the spiritual world, but it's just very real. I use the image of war, and we have three numbers that are connected to specific leadership. It's 1, 3, and 9. So it's the beginning with the one. Like the one is the general in front of the army, going like this is where we're going, and I don't even care if you're following, but this is where we're going. Like one often says like there's like some trailblazer or like some first seeds energy in the one. Then the 3 energy is the whole damn army, because those people, they show up early and they go home late and they get the job done. And they are ambitious and they are hardworking and they are willing to sacrifice. And then we have the 9 energy, which is where we are at the end of the line. It's also endings. It's the thing that says, I'm willing to die for this, which is also
Mm.
why I use that in the war. Like
Ooh.
there are certain things that we should be willing to sacrifice for. And if it's not a physical death, it might be an identity death. You know, like it might be something that a part of you that you've been carrying that has been small, and we might have to kill it. Or you might be willing to die a little bit to let it go, to be like, I am willing to give up this belief system. I'm willing to give up. I'm going to use that pattern with the accent again. Like I see that with some people where they're like, I want everything, but I have this one thing, for example, my accent, and I still feel so connected to it. Like I need to sound like I'm from a specific place. I don't want to be a new thing yet.
Mm.
I feel connected to this thing. Yeah, there can be all these things, but if you're not willing to die, if you're not willing to give up something that might tether you to a country or an identity or a family, then you can't become that new thing. Like the phoenix cannot rise if it has not been burned.
Mm.
Like you cannot shy away from that fire. And so the 9 energy is that thing, like this is why we fight. So the question is like, what are you fighting for? What are you building? What is the world you're building? And are you crying about the world that other people have built for you? Or are you deciding to create your own? Because
Mm.
that's the only way that worlds get built and only way that wars get fought and won is if someone says, I'm fighting for something bigger than myself and I'm building
Yes.
something bigger than myself. And even if it doesn't get done in my lifetime, or even if I don't get to see this thing fulfilled, I will like put bricks in this house, like in this wall. Like I will build this thing. I will be someone, and I will believe that other people will be looking at me while I'm building my thing, and they will go, oh, that's cool that she's building that. Oh, that's cool that he believes that.
Yeah.
And they will go in on that vision, and they
Mm.
will be like, you know, like
Mm.
they will commit to that cause. And 9 energy also really, you know, we have to look at anger, because anger is that thing that points, that says, hey, right there, that
Mm.
thing, no, 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 don't do that. Don't do that to me, or don't do that to other people. Like anger is the thing that like draws a line in the sand, and it activates us. It activates our nervous system. It activates our like spiritual defenses. Something in us go like, ah, no, like I will rise up to this. I will not hide. I will not freeze. I will not run. I will fight.
Hmm.
Um, so like, yeah, I'm really excited actually to see what this period of, like, some people call it uncertainty, but I call it, like, you know, the world moves globally through these 9 years, these 9 stages, and it comes to the end and it has to wrap up shit. And it's like, we're done with this level, we're done with this class. You're moving up, we're moving on. So like, let go, cut the cords, finish that friendship, declutter that closet. Like, what is not moving on with you into this next version? Or if it's moving on, you might need to detach. This could also be, like, you asked about professionally. I'm like, maybe you can stay if you're in a corporate or more like conventional field. Like, maybe you can stay where you are, but maybe you do need to negotiate salary and responsibilities. A sup energy in 2025 because of the 25. 25 has to do with responsibility. And it's just as much what we are responsible for as what we're not. We're not like, if you were a secretary, that would probably be a personal assistant in this day and age. If someone who was not your boss came and put a bunch of stuff on your desk and were like, can you do this? You would be like, I don't work for you. I work for this other guy or this other gal. I'm going to do their job, their stuff. And maybe in your life right now, and maybe in your professional lives, a lot of people have put a lot of stuff on your desk that is not your job or not what you get paid for, or maybe you need more compensation. And you need to figure out a way to say, that is not my job, to these people, and get that shit off your desk. Because also, with all this leadership stuff, like, what would it look like if you went all in?
So
What would it
true.
look like? And what are you scared of? Would it also be, 9 is also being, there's some perfectionism in the 9. So like, sometimes it's that thing of like, is your perfectionism holding you back from getting
Mm.
really good at things? Are you afraid of failing? Do you think that this version of you that's bigger, better, and better paid has to be like, I don't know, contorted into something weird? Do they have to be more perfect in some way? I would say no. You don't have to be more perfect in any way. You can do the thing as you are right now. But they're about that question, like, what are, yeah, leading back to like, what's holding you back? Identify it, let it go, cut it down, drop it
Mm.
in to little pieces and burn it. it
Yes.
2025 would also be a year to burn shit. And
Yes.
energetically, uh, it's a fire year. So like, I actually don't know what it is in Chinese astrology, but to me, as I look at it, I'm like, there's some things that we could burn,
Yeah.
and you might already know what you need to burn. As you're listening to this, you'd go like,
It is
something
actually
I've been afraid to
activating.
burn.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
actually activating the fire within the element of fire, which again is the power, right? The
yeah,
rising of the soul, the soul's calling. Like I said, if the veil is thinning, meaning that you're tuning more into your authentic self. This year has been a bit being your authentic self, coming out, expressing who you truly are, finding that path. And now we're have the opportunity to light that fire. It's being lit for us. So if we're tuning
yeah,
into that, we will allow the guidance of our own soul. It's easier for us. I feel in this number, I know it can seem difficult if you're in the lower vibrations of uncertainty, fear, and all that. But if you're constantly working, doing energy work, you're willing to look at what you're doing from also a soul perspective. If you're tuning into, okay, so how can, like you said, what that version of me, what does that look like? And then tuning into that energetically so that you can get the response from your soul, which will activate spirit through that fire. So you can actually use the fire as a symbol as you're allowing yourself to step into that power of number 9. And for that, that can really expand to something truly beautiful. That's how I feel it is for me at this moment as I've kind of already been in the, well, I think I've embodied, or I'm in that flow of the 9 energy, because I can feel it, sense it. I'm tuning into the vibrations because of the channeling, and I know what's coming. I see the winds of change and how to navigate it for my own personal benefit. And so, being a channel, it's easier for me to express that energy in my work, being, call it an example, of mentoring others in order to finally step into their empowerment, to be that empowering person, that leader in their own life, to cut out those lower vibration energy cords, bonds to anybody who does not serve your life, that is not for your highest good. This is the year that you decide what's for your highest good by allowing spirit to step fully in and to embody it in a more profound way. I think that's going to really shift the vibration of what's going on in the collective. The more light workers, visionaries, that's why I'm very tuning into those people today. And I want to say, if you're a light worker, define yourself. It's just a label, but you're working for the greater good of the whole. Then the 9 year, we need you. We need you to step into your power. We need you. We need your power. We need to stay in unity and start co-creating a new structure for the new earth vibration. I'm just calling a new earth vibration. I know it's a consciousness, but let's work on that together this year. I think that's going to be really powerful, and not let us be distracted by the external forces of what's going on in the world. We know that the answer lies within the power. We can solidly stand in our own power. And as you do that, the most powerful thing that I felt in that shift as I reawakened to my power again, it was the fire and me being able to just be grounded and having a perspective without the acknowledgement of fear or feeling insecure or unsafe in any part of my life. Any part,
Mm.
because as long as I embody that vibration, it doesn't exist. If I lose it, it's back. But if I can keep it up and then create that structure that I'm working on, the what I call the 5D matrix structure, because it starts with us to have that shift in paradigm. And so it's powerful. Can you see? Sense my energy? I'm so excited for next year. I truly
Yeah,
am. I think
yeah.
it's going to be amazing if light workers really understand the power they embody and start using that and not play small, as you said. It's time. It's time.
Yeah. Well, it's also um it's that thing of like, without getting tested, we don't know what we can do. And so I don't see the world always as like this big test. Like, it would be, not everything is Saturn ruled in that way. But I
No.
do think that there's something about like dealing with uncertainty in a self-empowered way. Because
Mm,
just as we could all get hit by a bus tomorrow, like, I'm tying this to the election, but it's other things, like big, big, scary things can happen in the world, and you're still just responsible for yourself. And
true.
sometimes it can be helpful to go back and one of the tools I use for people is that I go like, well, let's look at another personal 9 year, or like, a global 9 year, and see if you had any tips or tricks for your future self, which is your current self. Like, so
I love
for
that.
2025, you could go back to 2016, which was also an intense year, and you could go, what happened in 2016? If there's anything I could tell myself right after, like, pretend like it's the end of 2016, and you had like a little post-it note, or maybe just one page in your journal or in your note app on your phone, and go like, hey, these are the 3 things I wish someone had told me at the beginning of the year.
Mm.
And just like, right, like, go back to 2016, write that little thing for yourself. You could also go all the way back to 2007, and because there will be overlap, there's always something really interesting when we change the thousands. And we see like the first time we hit a 9 year, which was in 2007, and then 2016, and then 2025 is the third time. And there is something about the third time where like there is like a resonance in the energy, like it anchors deeper. Like the
Yes.
first time you hear something, the
Yeah.
second time you hear something, and then the third time where you can kind of sing the song. So, like, you heard some of this song in 2007, and it was very foreign. And then you heard it way stronger in 2016, and maybe it was a little scary because you were like, "Oh, that's a big song." And then 2025, the song comes back, and you're like, "Okay, let me sing it. Like, I know the chorus now, or I know some of these vibrations and colors and energies, and I can
Mm.
tell myself how to like stay on pitch. Like, I can tell, like, I have some tips and tricks here." And then apply them, because we have such a tendency to be like, "Oh, I don't know about the future." And I'm like, "But you do know about the future, because while I also tell my clients this, the exact same thing is probably not going to happen." So, like, say, weird image, you got a horse or a pet or something in 2016. Even if you get a new pet of the exact same, or a new horse, or like a new thing in your life that's like an unpredictable, live, energetic, like something gets introduced, and you're like, "I need to get to know this thing, this pet, this new energy in my life. I need to get to know it." It's never going to be the exact same animal, but it's still going to be, okay, this is such a weird, but it's still going to be that pet. Like, if it's a horse, you will know about horses. If it's a dog, you will know about dogs. If it's a job that like got introduced, then you know about this job now. So in some ways, 2025 is not going to be new to us. There's going to be a lot of repetition of things you probably, like, lessons you've already known: anger issues, boundaries, building blocks, finishing things, people to say goodbye to. 2025 is also like an ending year. It's an end of a cycle. 9 years are always like, what are we closing? What are we killing? What are we
I love it.
canceling? Yeah, like, I mean, in that way, it's
Yeah.
always epic.
You just reminded me of, I think that tip that you gave, go back and look at the last 9 year. That I think that was a wonderful tip, because I just recognized that in 2016, that was the first time I brought a group to Sedona. I was
Mm.
called by Spirit to do a spirit walk there, and I channeled Chief
Oh,
of the
you're doing
Holy
it
Land.
again,
Yes,
right?
2019 in March.
Yeah.
For 2025, I'm doing it again.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's like,
Oh, and
yeah,
in
it
March,
just,
at the
yeah.
very, like, it's perfect. Wow. I would say that if you are scared of power, then people will have more power over you. And if you're scared of your inner leader, then other people are going to take charge. And if you're afraid to be angry, then you will have to run or put up with other people's um, influence. And so you cannot, I mean, of course, you can run from it. We can always run. Like, there's always that opportunity to not engage with a challenge. You can always postpone the lesson. You can always say, "This is not my dark night of the soul," or like, "This is not it. I'm not far enough down the ladder. Like, not, I'm not challenged enough. I'll just tread water." Um, and I would just say that, like, sometimes the things we are afraid of are just so colored by our fear that they become very, very big. And kind of like in a horror movie, when you don't see the scary thing, it grows and grows and grows. And sometimes when it steps into the light, you're like, "This is the monster? It's suddenly not so scary anymore." Like, just a dude with a mask on. Like, he doesn't even look that tall. Like, I think I can take him. So I would say, whatever you're scared of, maybe you don't even have to fight it. Maybe you just have to face it. I know I talked about dying. Maybe you don't have to die. Maybe you just have to sit with it. Sometimes the big scary thing. And sometimes people come to me and, for example, with like anger, they're like, my anger is too big. I'm too afraid if I really felt it or allowed it, what I would do.
Mm.
And I'm like, as someone who spent a lot of years being angry, and as an actor also been very angry, wonderfully
Mm.
angry on stage, which can be like cathartic for other people to see. Like sometimes we're like, I can't allow this thing, but I'll go watch some art that has the energy that I'm not allowing myself, and I will like live through that, you know. um, I would just say you can survive anything that will come up, and it's probably not as scary as you think it is, or it will also feel good.
Mm.
Like we're
So
afraid of
true.
feeling bad, but sometimes just feeling it is a lot better than staying numb or staying back or holding back. It's like it's painful to play small. It's also
Mm.
painful not to be loved because we're not being authentic.
Mm.
Like it's there's just so much good stuff on the other side of like facing it. So I would just say with a lot of love, say like face it, show up for it, take action.
Mm.
And if you feel very challenged by these things, like sometimes it really helps to go back. You could get a numerology reading. I'm right here. You could get a reading with Vibeke. You could get a reading with anyone you're attracted to, like someone who has like an energy, because it's not just what we tell people, it's who the channel is. So like find someone you want to listen to, like find
Mm.
someone you feel safe with, someone you're like, I my nervous system feels safe with this person, like I can breathe deeply, I can see their face, like I can engage. I feel like I can be present with this person, and maybe get like a reading of like your birth chart or like your origin, because also like at the end of the line sometimes we need to be reminded about where we started.
Mm.
And I mean, I feel like that's my work, is often like reminding people who they are, and it's not, to me it's very very simple and very very beautiful
Mm.
to share those things and be like, look how simple and beautiful you are in some way. Like this is so pretty, like look at it, like ooh, there you are. And just like that reminder makes us feel stronger, because we can also pretend a lot that we're something else. We can
Mm.
play a lot of parts. Something we might have felt in 2024 is that, oh, I play all these parts. I'm all these different people. I can't consolidate them. I don't know who I am. I'm this person with my friends, with my family, my coworkers. Who am I really? And you are all those people, but you're also something bigger. So like just also a reminder that like there is help and support, and sometimes just a reminder of who we are
Mm.
can help us like become that again.
Reclaim
Yeah.
our power to
Yeah.
start shifting from the external world to the internal world where everything is created.
Yes.
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 Perfect. Yes.
Yeah.
It's up to us to express it. So it's
Yes.
beautiful. Thank you so much, Novalee. It's beautiful to have you here. Love your
Always a
energy.
pleasure.
Next year, I'm sure there's going to be some months that's going to be exciting to dive into.
Yes.
Now we just had a
Yes.
broad look at the number 9 and how that can help us, and it enlightens me because it's like, yes, we can see the synchronicities in everything, in all the spiritual aspects and all the fragmented parts that are being called into play in the number 9 that needs to be
Yeah.
expressed. And so I think it's a beautiful, beautiful time. And I just want to lift it because, yes, we can see the doom if we're focused in the external world. But look at us. Look at you, Novalee. Look at us coming together. People watching. We're here with an open heart. We're here because we believe in something greater. We're here because we want to express, to support, to be of service somehow, and just to live in unity. And I think that's beautiful. There's so much hope in whatever is going on. Let's focus our attention, our energy towards what brings hope, what brings peace, what brings love. And yeah, let's hold space for each other. We can hold space for those who are struggling. We're here holding space. That's what we do. That's how we
Yes.
show up for each other. So, With that, I want to thank you again, Novalee. And for everyone who's been watching us today, thank you so much for joining us. And I hope to see you back next time. Any final words, Novalee? I will give you the final words.
Well, if numerology sounds interesting, go check out my website at novaleewilder.com. I also have books, a little bit of numerology and a little bit of angel numbers if you want to dive into that. And then I just don't lose hope.
I
That's
love
my
that. I
final
love that.
final word. Like, don't lose hope.
Thank you very much and have a wonderful day, everyone, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Bye now.
Yes. Bye.